In this video, we're going to talk about the most famous, the most respected, the most revered of the anti-aging longevity tonic herbs. And that is, of course, Ho Shou Wu, which is sometimes erroneously called by the misnomer, which is faux tea, which I'm not really sure where that came from. Maybe it's just a Western name for this. But basically, the real Chinese name is Ho Shou Wu, which originally goes back to the story of Mr. Ho. The name means Mr. Ho's black hair, which leads to the first benefit which makes Ho Shou Wu so famous, which is it's renowned for its ability to reverse the graying process and to help us maintain our natural hair color late into age and as we, have more and more times around the sun. Now, I've seen this happen right before my very eyes in working with people one-on-one. I've heard it from many other people, on the internet, people writing into me, telling me the amazing results they've been getting. Obviously, I'm still very young, so gray hairs aren't something that I need to worry about, but I still take Ho Shou Wu regularly for its other anti-aging rejuvenating properties. Now, Ho Shou Wu, being a rejuvenating herb, is classified as a Yin Jing and a blood tonic. So Yin Jing is basically our fundamental, foundational energy of our body, which is correlated with kind of our hereditary predisposition, or our genetics, or just our overall constitution. And you can see this pretty easily if you look at a really old person, elderly person. Their Jing is pretty wiped out because they've lived their lives. But if you look at a teenager, someone who's very hormonally strong and still very active and still very healthy, you can see their Jing is still pretty much built up because they're much younger and they haven't really wiped their Jing out, because Jing is burnt through many excesses, but basically just through living life. And the more Jing that we can have and the higher quality Jing that we can have, the higher quality and quantity of life that we're going to be able to live. So now, one thing you need to know about this herb is that there are a few different varieties out there on the market. One is a tonic and one is not. Now, some people are just bargain hunters and they find Ho Shou Wu on the internet and they think, oh, this is dirt cheap, this is going to be awesome and I'm going to get benefits. And then they take it and they don't get the benefits. They actually have negative effects and they say, oh, Ho Shou Wu is stupid, Chinese herbs don't work, when in reality they just didn't really educate themselves enough, which is what I'm going to tell you now. So with Chinese tonic herbs, quality matters, price matters, and you get what you pay for. So there's two forms out there on the market. There's unprepared and prepared. What is a tonic is the prepared version, which is what gives it this dark brown or this black color, which gives it its tonic effect, because it's said that black foods, dark foods, nourish the kidneys. Whereas if you find the unprepared form, it's mostly used as a laxative and used to clear heat from the body. So if you've ever taken lots of Ho Shou Wu and had a laxative effect, probably weren't getting the prepared version. And I know for me, when I first got it, I heard of this herb and I went to the health food store. I got myself a bottle of faux tea and I thought, oh, it's $10. Wow, what a great deal. And it does all this stuff. And I took it, didn't really get any good effects, and realized, oh, wait a minute, that's not really the prepared version. I need the prepared version to actually get the effects I'm looking for. So the question that people generally ask is, can Ho Shou Wu really do this for the hair? Is it really true? Is it just something that's made up, or is it just some sort of Chinese folk legend? I'm here to tell you that it's real and it's true. Now, obviously, there are different factors at play, hereditary and genetics, and how far down the road you are. Those are all things that are playing a role, not to mention your overall lifestyle, your level of stress, your belief system, and your overall nutrient profile, nutrient makeup in your body. All these things are in the equation. But like I said, I've seen it work for people that I've worked with. I've heard many people have had success stories, and this is historically what it's been used for in the more Eastern cultures. Now, it has a blood building effect, a blood tonifying effect as well, which is very beneficial for women and for men. And this is because Ho Shou Wu is extremely concentrated in iron, in zinc, and molybdenum. And these are all essential minerals that the body needs to fulfill many different functions, which I'm not going to go into because that whole conversation is outside the scope of this video. So another thing that gives Ho Shou Wu its really renowned anti-aging effects is its ability to help our body produce superoxide dismutase, which is an endogenous, which means it's an antioxidant that our body produces naturally, which means that Ho Shou Wu helps our body produce more of its own natural antioxidants, which if you know anything about antioxidants, oxidation is what breaks us down, and having more antioxidants is generally a good thing. So another way that Ho Shou Wu is, Ho Shou Wu helps us stay young is it has MAOI inhibitors, which means MAOI is basically a process, or not MAOI, but there's this process in our brain, whereas our brain goes through and eats up serotonin and dopamine, and MAO inhibitors come in and they keep this process minimized, and they keep our brain from eating up so much serotonin and dopamine, which helps us feel happier and helps us feel calmer and less stress, and overall helps us feel more young. There are other benefits associated with Ho Shou Wu, is that it helps prevent, lipid oxidation, which basically means lipid, fats, and oils in our body from oxidizing, which again goes back to its antioxidant properties. So it's rich with zinc and iron and other trace minerals which are essential for the body. It has all these massive antioxidant properties, has these mood-enhancing MAOI or MAO inhibiting properties, as well as all of these other famous historical cultural uses. So that's Ho Shou Wu. And again, the best form to get this in would be a powdered concentrated extract. You can buy it whole and make a tea out of it. That's okay, that's pretty good. It's not going to get you all the effects you want because this is what's called a long cook herb. Meaning you're going to have to boil it for hours and hours and hours to get all of the goodies out, much in the same way that ginseng needs to be boiled for hours and hours and hours to get all of the good stuff out. So if you want to learn more about Ho Shou Wu, you can see the link below. And if you have any questions or comments, post them below, and I'll talk to you soon.